Hello, welcome to another UTS Startups Confessions. Okay, best crowd ever. Thank you very much for joining, and thank you people watching at home. This is going to be incredible because we talk a lot about enablers of entrepreneurship and what people actually have access to that allow them to do something really interesting. And you are such a wonderful example of that, Mona.
Thank you.
And you'll understand why I'm saying that in a second, but this is a wonderful thing that has been enabled by a really interesting career. And you're going to hear about it right now. So, in 10 seconds, what is JurisTechne?
Okay, thank you all so much for attending, and thank you to the viewers at home as well. JurisTechne, it is a legal software solution that gives you a probability to success for any litigation claim and evaluation.
Okay, so I'll go deeper into that for people that don't understand this area. Why do I need to know that in advance as a lawyer or someone funding lawyers?
Okay, so previously I was a litigation funder, and one of our biggest pain points, and another pain point that I saw from the law firms that we were dealing with, is the discovery and the valuation of the claims. So you have a claimant come to a law firm, and it will take time, a lot of effort, a lot of resources. And for those of you that have experienced, seeing a solicitor or going through a claim, it's quite a tedious process and it's a very long process. So I thought, how could we provide a solution to be able to empower these law firms, our legal champions, to be able to help more claimants and champion more cases? And you do that through software and data analytics.
Okay. Okay, let's pause there for a second and take a few steps back. Who were you before JurisTechne?
Whew. So I have been in fintech and like in IT and finance for over a decade. I started off as a broker back many, many, many lifetimes ago, and then moved and fell in love with software and saw how amazing software can make life. I worked in a digital agency, designing software, designing websites, and then had an opportunity to open up a credit lending business. So I co-founded a credit lending business in small unsecured loans, exited that business successfully, and opened another credit lending business. In that second credit lending business, we also specialized in litigation funding. And that's where I saw and experienced all those different pain points that came to trying to invest and help law firms and claimants be able to get successful outcomes.
Okay, and that's where the enablers come into this. So what does that process look like at the moment in order to fund that kind of work?
So it's a very manual process. The law firms will put together something like a case theory note. They'll submit it to the litigation funder, and along with their evidence, and as they receive evidence, we then have our own internal teams and external teams that are assessing these claims. So sometimes it can take, quite a long time to get these claims assessed, and it can be quite costly. So the first level of assessment goes through the solicitors, and for that written advice, you're paying, between $4,000 and $6,000. And then if they give you advice to say proceed, then you get a barrister to give you some written advice and say whether you should back the claim or not. And that could be between $8,000 to $15,000 depending on which barrister you're using. So even when it gets to that stage of assessment, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be backing it as the funder. So we can get to the barrister stage and be spending over $20,000, and we don't actually back that claim. So then I thought, well, how can I fix this? How can I make it faster? How can I get, more claims in? And that's through tech.
Okay, that makes sense. Because what impact does that have on people? Like if you have to spend $20,000 to know if something is worth pursuing, that must have impacts on who has access to that kind of support.
That's right. So if you don't have the financial means to be able to pursue your claims, then it becomes very hard to have someone champion that claim for you. As well as the law firms. The law firms, I've seen behind closed doors how hard the solicitors are working. They're not just putting your claim together. They're also acting as a psychologist. They're also acting as a confidant. They are experiencing things that people outside don't necessarily see. So I want to be able to empower them so that they can help more people, make their lives easier. And, you know, when you're getting more claims in, you're also reducing your bottom line. So you're earning more money as well.
Okay. So talk me through the idea, the kind of genesis of it, and how that came into being.
So there are millions of points of data that are publicly available that we have access to. There are things like court judgments, legislation, ASIC regulatory guides, policies, procedures. And with all that information, once we've structured that and we feed that into, you know, a large language model, we're able to pull out some data that the human mind just can't do. We're people, and that's okay. But we want to empower people and help people to have access to that information, because information is power. So we've gotten all these data sets. We've teamed up with some of the smartest data scientists in Australia, and we've set a community, like a whole ecosystem, to be able to produce this beautiful piece of software.
Okay. And it's interesting how that applies to law so easily. Like when people are costing that much and there's such an incentive for that kind of productivity. It doesn't sound like it's about replacing the lawyers, it's about making the time of the lawyers more useful.
That's right. So if one particular solicitor is working on 20 claims a month, we should be able to help them achieve 40 claims a month or 60 claims a month. It's just providing the insights and the tools to empower people, because you cannot replace people. Technology is not there to replace people, it's there to empower people. And that's what we want to do. We want more people to have access to legal representation. It can be more affordable because getting access to that legal representation has become a lot easier and a lot quicker. It's freeing up time and resources for the law firms to be able to focus on the important things and not focus on those really time-consuming tasks that are mundane, or we could speed up.
Okay. So when did you start this?
So the idea came up last year in October, and this was like right in the midst of all these litigation funding pain points. I'm like, there has to be another way to fix this. Like, there has to be. Like, we're in tech. Tech can solve pretty much anything. So it started off as an idea in October. In May is when I started to get, very serious about it. I had a lot of free time because I sold my previous company and started focusing on how we could make this solution come to life.
It must be a nice feeling being able to self-fund something.
Yeah, so we're bootstrapping it at the moment.
Yeah.
And bootstrapping it only gets you as far as what you can get. But we've got such an amazing community around us, and the people that are supporting JurisTechne, like UTS Startups. We have amazing data scientists, fund managers, financial professionals, legal experts, and everyone is chipping in because they could see what the social impact this is going to have. It's not just about, creating a beautiful piece of technology. We also want to make a change in the world. We want to leave some sort of nice legacy for when our kids grow up. And
I like that. I like the idea of more accessible law, more easily kind of understood cases before people dive in. Who doesn't want to be more productive in the work that they do?
Of course.
Nobody. So it's early days. but what's coming up?
So we're looking at starting our case study in December. We have a few law firms, large law firms, subscribe to participate in our case study. The reason why we're doing that is I want to take a scientific approach to our software. We want to prove that it works first and have the data to back what we're saying, because you can't make a good decision if you don't have all the data to be able to say, okay, this does work, I'm going to subscribe to it, we're going to use it, it's going to make life better. We're structuring, at this very point, we're in the process of structuring the data. By December, we're hoping to start our case study.
Okay, who's the lucky law firm that gets to experiment with that first? Or they probably don't want to be named yet.
Yep, everything's under NDA while we're performing the case study.
Okay.
There are 3 signed subscribers. And what that means for them is law firms that participate in the case study will get access to a discount when we release to the public, because they helped us, because they helped test the product, they took the time and freed up some of their resources to be able to prove that our model works.
Okay. For everyone watching and everyone here, is there room for more law firms in this? And if so, what kind of firms would benefit most?
Yeah, the more the merrier. So for the case study, we're focusing on corporate commercial law, and we're using New South Wales legislation and federal legislation. So if you're a law firm that specializes in corporate commercial law and you would like to participate, I don't know if this is like a YouTube thing, like and subscribe, make sure you email.
We'll put the link below, yeah. But it sounds like there's a wonderful opportunity to get in before it hits a kind of snowball effect and becomes, you can't afford it anymore.
We know that law firms that are at the forefront of technology are more successful. Like that's something that's proven with data.
And it's not like this won't be done. In 5 years' time, it's hard to imagine a law firm going through the same process and evaluating whether they take something on or not.
That's right.
So why not start now?
Exactly.
Okay, so looking forward, let's say 5 years from now, what does this look like?
I really see this as a multi-billion-dollar venture that we can deploy all over the world. It's not just the Australian jurisdiction. There's a whole international jurisdiction that we can deploy this type of model to. Australia is a very small economy in terms of litigation funding and litigation. I want to be able to democratize access to legal justice, to legal representation, and we can do that. We can do that through technology, we can do that through community, and we can do that through data analytics. It's just data.
I know some of the people working on the data, so it's just data. Get on with it. But it's a point in time where that actually is true. The technology now and how quickly it's evolving. Even if it isn't possible today, it will be possible very soon, and I'd suggest it probably is possible today as well.
Yeah.
So, okay. There are 2 questions we normally ask to wrap up.
Okay.
So this, going back into your previous entrepreneurial experience and this, how has being an entrepreneur changed you?
Wow, you learn so much being an entrepreneur. You're not just doing one role, right? You're the CEO, you're the CTO, you're the marketing manager, you're the sales rep. You learn how to communicate with the different stakeholders. You learn so many little things, and you become not the expert, but you know enough to get you to the next level, and you keep learning. Always keep learning. Learning is so important. Education is so, so, so important. The minute you stop learning, you stop growth. So keep learning, even if it's just a YouTube course. Like, I learned how to use Adobe with YouTube channels. I'm currently studying at UTS, doing my MBA part-time, which has been absolutely phenomenal. I highly recommend it for any person going into business or moving into a management position. I really, really recommend the MBA. It's been a great program.
Awesome.
But the biggest things is learning and communication, because you need to be able to communicate with different stakeholders in a different way. So how you communicate to your internal stakeholders is different to how you communicate with your clients. And just making sure that everybody is on the same page, it's all nice and clear, and you've been able to give that communication in a way for those particular people to be able to digest that information is very important. So it's not just communicating, it's communicating effectively and efficiently.
Okay, and with that in mind, if you could communicate with yourself back at the start of these companies, would you have some advice for yourself?
I think my biggest advice for myself would be to just stop doubting yourself. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have like this imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? Do I know what I'm doing? Are people going to think poorly of me? We all think it at some point of time, but just ignore it. Keep pursuing it. Keep learning. Keep pushing forward. Keep persevering, because that's the most important thing. It's not motivating. It's not trying to motivate yourself. It's perseverance. You could be having the worst day, but persevere. You could be having the best day, but persevere. And if you put a good community around you, then it's easier to persevere. So when you're feeling down, you can call someone in your community, call someone in your ecosystem, and they help you get through it. That the power of community is invaluable. So persevere, good communication, and learn. Keep learning. Always educate yourself.
Okay, perfect. It sounds like lawyers need to be reaching out.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Partners of some kind.
Yes.
There must be people out there thinking this could augment their approach to doing something or whatever else. And it sounds like you're okay for investment, but I'm sure you might be considering more.
We are looking for strategic partners. We know what we can do ourselves, but we're looking for strategic partners because we know we could take this to a global scale. And that's what we're currently looking for, partners to be able to help us expand this.
Okay, beautiful. It's a future I look forward to.
Thank you.
And speaking of other things I'm looking forward to, we're going to cut the camera and go into private Q&A now. So for anyone watching at home, I'm sorry that you're going to miss this, but every Friday at 3:30 we run this. It's where the juicy parts come out, so we'll see you down here. For now, please join me in thanking Mona from JurisTechne.
Thank you. Thanks.